Hey, Assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're doing well. So, as you can tell, I look different. I actually was able to fix up my beard because I got a trimmer finally. My trimmer had broken. I got a haircut. Not the best because I went to Great Clips, which is a franchise, if you don't know about it, where they just cut standard hair. It's all about getting it quickly done and getting it done cheaply. I think it's $12 a cut, which is more expensive than my barber, my personal barber in Dearborn, Michigan, but whatever. My hair was getting poofy and long. So I feel great. I'm in a different place, and just to let you know a little bit, the reason I look the way I did in the last video was just because of some stress there. And one of the main ideas that caused me to do that video is the difference in generosity. Now, I didn't want to, I cut out and I censored the last video because I didn't want it to be potentially construed as backbiting because it was referring to a few specific situations. So I'll just explain. The general thing is that in Egypt and in Syria, regardless of how a lot of people cheated me on the street, there was a generosity that I saw essential to the way that people dealt with me on a personal level. Of paying, when you pay, you fight over paying the bill. If you get someone one time, they get you the next time. It was very, very nice and very generous. It was very homey. It's the Arab hospitality, and I was not feeling that at all here, even from people who you would think would do that. But it's again that whole illusion that I have, where if I see someone whose parents are immigrants, I assume, after this year abroad, obviously I didn't think this before, I assume that they have the characteristics and qualities that their parents do. But the problem is that they don't. That's not a problem. The reality is that they don't. So because they're between these two cultures, but more influenced by American culture, more influenced by this individualism, and so I don't see it as a positive thing. I like cultures that are more focused on the family and on the community. So that's why I was stressed out, mainly for that video, and also I had a lot of trouble in Boston in terms of my work. But I won't get into the details of those. I'll just continue on talking about the journey and where I went after that. I was able to go to New York City, which I've been wanting to go to for a long time. I wanted to check out Columbia. As you notice, when I go to different cities, I love to check out universities there, especially ones that are interested in Islamic studies, which is my field of study. To talk about getting there to New York City, it was really interesting. If you live in the Northeast, you are so lucky because everything is so close. It's not like the Midwest where I'm from, where it's farmland and everything is so separate from every other place, where you need a car. Or if you don't have a car, it's going to be extremely difficult. Even though public transportation in Boston was pretty bad, I must admit, it was not organized. It was illogical. They often stopped. It's called the T there, and you have a Charlie card. A Charlie card, maybe because of the Charles River, I don't know, but you have a Charlie card basically. And so we're going to the station where we're supposed to get on a bus to go to New York City, and it just suddenly stops and it's like, it's out of service, please get out. We all get out. There's already people waiting at the next stop. We're just almost gonna fall into the tracks, and after it goes, another one comes, and then we get on for free. But it's like, who got on for free because they were on the last bus, and who got on because they were new people? You have no clue. You can't tell the difference. It's just a terrible system. You have a green line, but it's a green line that splits up into four things. So there are four green lines. They're not even separated by color or letter or number or anything. It's not a good system. Not a good system at all. And so we went to Chinatown in Boston, which is an interesting place, and we caught the Funghua buses. Now these Funghua buses, they're $15 to go from Boston to New York City, and they go from Chinatown in Boston to Chinatown in New York City. So I'm guessing, they're all Chinese workers, the people who did it, and I don't know if they're immigrants or not, but they speak amongst each other in Chinese, so I'm assuming they still conserve that. It's really cheap, and the trip takes typically 4 hours, depending on traffic. It may take 4.5 or 5 hours, and Funghua drivers are known for being fast, apparently, and they, weave in between cars and other buses on the highway. So you go through Connecticut, and then you make it to New York. It's not a long trip at all, and I had a blast. I really had a great time in New York City. When we first arrived there in Chinatown, it's really ironic. We were looking for a restaurant to eat, my friend and I, and we ended up choosing a Vietnamese restaurant. The food was quick. It was good. It felt healthy to me. It was delicious, and I loved it, although my friend didn't. I should have gone to get Chinese food, but the stores around, let's just say, they didn't look too sanitary. And it's interesting. Chinatown has this smell to it. You know, it's not a very good smell. You see trash on the road. I mean, it's not trash like the Middle East. They're bags of trash, but still it has, you know, fish and meat and extra food, and so it gives you that smell. So it was interesting to be in a place where it had a smell again. You know, as opposed to Boston, which was different. I loved the accent. I really loved the accents. I love the diversity in New York City. It's such a beautiful place. I heard Jamaican accents. I heard Hispanic accents. I heard Chinese accents. I heard all these different accents. There's a New Yorker accent, which differs from region to region, I hear. And just from looking at YouTube videos, but I heard, you know, a hint of that. It's not too heavy either. And so, you know, New York City split up into a few different places, a few different boroughs, I believe they're called. You have Bronx, which is in the north, and then you have Manhattan, which is beautiful. That's where I spend most of my time. I just pass through the other areas. Under that, a little westward, you have, excuse me, just one second. Yeah, solid. Sorry, allergies starting up again. You have Staten Island, which is supposed to be really big, but on the map they make it seem smaller. And then in the east, you got your Queens and Brooklyn underneath it. So it's a beautiful place. It's really diverse, and I had a great time. But I thought there were too little people. I really expected more. You know, I have this mental image of New York City being this crowded place. The hustle and bustle of New York City is what I always hear. But I'm telling you, after Cairo, everything is just, it's easy. If you can handle that, and being there for a few days and going back and forth and navigating through the public transportation system there, finding your way and traveling, everything else is easy. Seriously. Well, not everything else. Every place I've been to afterwards. Public transportation is very easy to use. It's simple. I love the block system and the systems. Basically, for the streets, when you go north, they get higher. You know, so 100th, 101st, 200th, 221st, different things like this. And for the avenues, they get higher as you go west. So 1st Avenue, 7th Avenue, 9th Avenue. There's just a few avenues, and they're farther apart from each other than the streets. Although it seems kind of unnatural. Now, Lower Manhattan was confusing, I admit, because you know, it's no longer this block system. It kind of, you know, because it's from the early parts. And now a lot of it, I heard, also used to be over water, and they kept building and expanding. The subway is called a subway. It's not called the metro like DC. DC people seem pretty strict about that. Like, it's called a metro here. It is extremely hot underground. Some stops more than others, but really hot. I mean, just within 5 minutes, I was just like sweating. I was just all in sweat. It's humid. I don't know why that was. Now, granted, there was a heat wave going on, so it was really hot. It was high 90s, early hundreds, I think, which is, I don't know if that's normal to the Northeast, but I thought it was pretty hot. Not that after Egypt and Syria, I would be able to handle this a lot more easily, but I couldn't actually. When I went to the DC metro in the winter, the Berlin U-Bahn, the London Underground, all of these different things that are the same general system, I didn't feel that heat. Now, granted, I did go in the winter time, but it's still, I didn't really feel it. Now, the New York City subway system has air conditioning in the cars or the trains, so it totally fixes the problem. But London, from my recollection, doesn't. So you just kind of handle whatever's weather's outside. I've never seen so many tattoos on so many people in a specific concentrated place before. I'm talking young, old, different races, different parts that I went to in Manhattan. I mean, I didn't really go out, but it might be more there. And so it was just so weird for me just to see tattoo, 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 tattoo. Just a lot of tattoos relative to what I've seen before. Also, the idea of homosexuality and people being openly gay, I saw that a lot in New York City more than other places. So the city seems to be accepting of that. They even have it's called a gay city paper. That's at least what I wrote down. Now I'm not sure of the name specifically. Another thing is, you know, I was on a subway and there was a lady sitting there, and I say lady, probably in her 25 years old or something like that. And there was a little kid, maybe she was being a mentor, and I'm putting it in quotations because I don't think she was doing something very good. The kid was probably around 13, young kid, and there was another one around 12 sitting next.